Just like that. We are live. Welcome, everybody.
We're live.
We are live. This is our late and live thing we have started doing for the last 3 weeks or so. So welcome if you're watching this live. If you are watching live, you can comment in the side chat, which might be helpful tonight because we're handing it over to you lot to come up with topics or questions for all of us or one of us, whatever you choose. I'm joined again with Derek. How are you?
Hey, Nick. Yeah, very good, thanks.
Good. It must be your webcam, but that thing behind you looks like it's about to collapse onto your head.
What this
Whole world's caving in around you.
I think the webcam's just a bit wonky.
It's been a Scottish earthquake.
That's it. Oh, it's doing my head in. We've got Pete down here. How you doing, Pete?
I'm all right. It's an earthquake. No, I'm all right. Yeah, I had a busy week. It's just usual booting and listing and wrapping and endless cycle of reselling stuff. It's been a good week, though.
I'm just trying to put a light on. I realised I didn't do any of that. Let's see if that helps. Oh, geez.
I'm hopefully a bit brighter. I normally start off kind of, you can see me, and then by 10:30, it's completely dark and dingy in here. So I've got an extra light in here today.
Good stuff. So we didn't have a topic, so we have left it open to you. If you put comments in earlier or questions, you're going to have to resubmit them because at the moment I can only see from Richard's comment down. So any questions before that I can't see, so please submit them again. We'll say a few hellos and see if we can find a question as we go down. We've got Richard, Leanne, welcome, Pat. See if we've got anything. Antoinette is in. Once love treasures. Good evening. Oh, there's a quick question for me. How is the app going?
That's the same old question, isn't it?
It keeps coming up. Actually, very well. We have solved all of the technical issues and hurdles we had. Had to make a few compromises on things. We are wrapping a version to hand over to a smaller bunch of testers. Once that's been done, we are submitting to Google Play. So we're within touch and distance. Once that's all underway, we then do the Apple conversion. I'm not going to say when this is all going to be done, but it is, to say I underestimated how difficult this would be is itself an understatement. So, yeah, it's been a steep learning curve. Oh, this was the question that you commented on, Pete.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, I like that one.
If you could jam with one music star, dead or alive, who would it be? Go on then, Pete.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious who I think you'd guess who I'd choose.
Who are you a big fan of? Is it Prince you're a big fan
Prince, of? Yeah. It would have to be Prince because, he could just play all the instruments and I could just sit back and listen to him.
Just stand there and admire him,
Yeah. So I think it'd be definitely Prince for a jam. I mean, he's the jams that he's recording are legendary anyway. So, yeah, it'd have to be Prince.
Good choice. And we discovered briefly when we were chatting that Derek is the only musician really here. So who would you jam with, Derek?
I think if I had a choice, I would go with Paul McCartney. I'm a big Beatles fan, so yeah.
Nice choice.
I think there'd be plenty of songs to play with him. It's off the top of my head. I'm sure there's other people.
It's got to be someone fairly talented, isn't it? Because
yeah,
it's not going to be Boyzone or something like that, is it?
Yeah.
See, most of the kind of groups I'm well known for liking aren't really the kind of jam crowd.
Yeah, Vince Clarke. Come on, Vince. Let's jam.
But in saying that, I probably would pick Vince just so I can hang out in the studio and mess around with all of his 80s equipment. He's got all of those old Moog stereos and stuff. Not stereos, synthesizers. But yeah, right. Let's see if we've got any reselling questions. We've got some answers though for that. Chris Cornell, Kurt Cobain. Wow, yeah.
Kurt Cobain, that'd be good.
Just to meet those guys, I mean.
Yeah. I remember I was at uni with someone and he bought the first Nirvana album before they got big. So this is like, I don't know, 1990. I think they got big in like 91-ish, but he bought their first album, which wasn't Nevermind. I think it had a black cover.
Bleach, was it?
Yeah, it's Bleach, I think. And he got it in our price, but he paid the import fee. He paid a huge amount of money for it. And then after Nevermind got big, they had loads of Bleach in, like just normal price. And he went in to complain that he paid up for it. Or he was a student, so he was hard up. So, but I don't know if he ever got his money back.
Funnily enough, now it's probably worth hundreds.
It's probably worth hundreds. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just scrolling down. Let's see if we do have any questions. If we don't have any questions, I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Well, I can tell you about my sorry state of the boot fair on Wednesday, because I wasn't in the best of moods when I woke up. Alarm went off at 4:45. Dragged myself out of bed. Wasn't too sure whether the boot fair was going to be on. But I got there and I thought, right, come on, let's make the best of this. I bought one thing at a car boot sale. I don't know how long I was there.
Was it a bacon butty?
It wasn't a bacon. I know, I got it here. It was this iPod Mini.
Entry fee to the car park.
Yeah, well, the entry fee was £4. That cost me a £5. And I was in a foul mood, just not finding anything. There's a lot of stuff there, a lot of the sort of standard electricals I might think about, but they're all overpriced. When you factor in that they may not work. But I did end up by accident going through someone's bag, and it was very strange because like the bag was probably in front of the stall about a metre, so it could have been part of the stall. These people were just setting up. And I looked in it, and it was like lots of electrical cables, and there was one of those sort of lanterns, a bit like this sort of thing, but bigger. And I thought, oh, I'll have a look at that. And I got it out, and this guy sort of came up to me, and he didn't say, "Excuse me, that's my bag." He kind of gave me this cryptic, "This bag's quite far away from that stall, isn't it?" And it's, this is 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm in a foul mood, I haven't got anything for 2 hours. And I was just looking at him going, what? And it honestly took him about 3 goes to make me realise it was his bag. And even when I put the thing back, I still wasn't too sure. But I just really, really weird boot fair. And I got home and in some ways I was glad that I didn't buy a load of like electricals and be surrounded by like, I don't know, usual tap that may not work. It was. I've been selective. I've learned to say no, so that was good.
Yeah. I did find a question. Stephanie has put in how much extra effort. That's a big assumption, assuming we're putting in some extra effort. How much extra effort are you having to put into eBay at the moment to keep your sales at a level you're happy with? Derek, does that ring true to you? Are you finding you have to do more?
Sort of. I mean, my sales over the past couple of months have really dropped down. And I did stop listing for a bit, but I was still putting on the odd thing, every day. It's consistent, but not as much as I usually do. Anyway, I've got back to doing my 10 a day that I've been doing for years. And it doesn't seem enough. So I've been really trying to push for, a little bit more than that, maybe 20 a day. Don't always do it, but yeah, I do feel like I've got I don't know, maybe it's just the quality of stuff I've just got to get listed as well. Because there's a lot of, all the good stuff is basically sold, and because I haven't been listing as much stuff, then, I haven't replenished it. So
you're starting to work through the bog standard gear.
Yeah, but I do feel the need to maybe list a little bit more than what I have been, just to keep the sales the same.
I've certainly found that sales have been sporadic, but I had a listing session today and sold a bunch of it immediately, including, I was going to do the best pickup and best sale. I can kind of do that in one shot now because I listed the 3DS XL and it sold within 5 minutes. So I guess stuff is still selling, but I think you're right that you've got to have the right stuff and the good quality stuff.
Yeah.
But I think overall, everybody seems to be saying that sales are down, and it stands to reason because we're all panicking about where the next, where the money's coming from to pay these bills we're all getting at the moment.
I think we've just had half term as well, so that probably had some sort of impact. Maybe people have gone away, but you're right. With petrol prices going up and all the prices going up, it's bound to have an effect.
Yeah.
I try not to worry about it. I've kind of looked at this last week, and it's been pretty poor. And I've also had. I always look at the 31-day graph, and I know I shouldn't. I should, look at things over 12 months. And over 12 months, it's kind of okay. But that 31-day graph, if I've just had like a £400 day drop off that, and as soon as that happens, and you look at your 31-day total, and it's got and maybe you've had a day that replaces it, which is 60 quid or something, you're like, oh god, where am I going to get that 300? But 90 days is kind of, you always want it a bit higher, I think. So it's kind of like, who calls it a boot sale? I call it a boot fair, and I get a lot of stick.
Well, I thought it was boot fairs in Kent, but it's boot fairs where you are, Pete.
Yeah. Pete calls them boot fairs as well. Peter Ray.
Certainly north of London, we're boot sales up here.
It's boot sales.
I'll confuse a lot of people.
London.
So you don't have merry-go-rounds at yours then, and dodgems. I don't know why it's called a boot fair, but because I've done my back from the boot fair.
I remember years ago when I first started chatting with Zahir, and he used that term, and he was Croydon. He was Croydon.
He's down the road from
London.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. Good to see you.
Very weird.
Oh blimey, Daniel, what's the most niche or peculiar item you sold on eBay? Oh, I get these sort of questions. I never know what to say.
That's really difficult because I don't really pick up a lot of niche stuff.
Quickly, when I think of it, a pair of bonking brass bears, like a little statuette of bears.
Was that a couple of years ago?
Getting it on, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's quite niche, right?
That is very niche.
I've got a strange item I sold probably about 6 months ago. Is a used and dried up bottle of Tibex from the 80s. It looks, what I couldn't understand is the bottle actually just looks like you can buy them new. You can buy them new on eBay, brand new, and they look the same. They just don't have "Made in West Germany" written on the back.
Oh yeah, they did that.
But they look identical apart from that. Anyway, this is sold for a tenner. I think it was a tenner including postage, or maybe a couple of pounds less, about that. And they could have bought a brand new one if they wanted it as a prop or something like that. As long as they angled it right, you'd never know the difference.
Very strange.
But it's still sold. It was all dried up. I got positive feedback.
That's amazing. It does. Some of the sales that you share with us, the weird little things that you've just got to have the nerve to list it and ask a price sometimes, I think.
Well, I can't remember even how I got this. I think it was just in the bottom of a box that I got from the boot sale. And I was looking at it. I was just about to chuck it away. And I noticed it said "Made in West Germany." So I thought, this is old. So
I sold a big box, like a real big box, and it was just full of old resistors. And they were still all on the card, and they'd all been labelled up with what ohmage or whatever it is, or resistance they were. And there was just tons of them. I think it was from an old TV engineer, but just loads of bits and bobs. It was one of those things I was tripping over a lot and thinking, why on earth have I got these? No one's ever going to buy them. But I think they went for about 60, 70 quid.
Some of that sort of stuff can go for quite a bit.
Yeah, it's weird when you list it and you don't know what it is. And
I've had boxes of like weird electrical stuff, and they just sit there, and I think, they're all dirty and they're all dusty, and I don't know what they are or anything. And you end up listing them, and they go for like, a fortune.
Yeah, I always procrastinate on things that I don't quite know enough about. It's like that. I had that lot of old police radios and bits and bobs. I think I shared it somewhere. It might have been in a video. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just laid it out, took a picture and listed it, and it went for 40 quid in the end.
Well, you've had lots of office phones as well, haven't you? That's the sort of thing you've picked up before. And I've seen those at boot fairs, but kind of gone, oh, no, I don't really want it. But
well, I picked up a job lot of office phones when I was at a jumble trade in Walthamstow, and they were all locked, and there was no way of unlocking the things. But the job lot came with like some of these big like router server thing, whatever you call them, like
routers,
thingies.
hubs. Yeah.
And they one of them went for like 40 or 50 quid, and then all the power supplies sold for a tenner each and all of this. So it didn't matter that the units were all locked in the end. And then I sold them as a job lot, as locked phones. So I actually did really well on it. But yeah, you can make money out of most things if you've got the nerve, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I've still got a load of office phones. I don't know if you saw the video where I went to that old VHS warehouse and got shelving. I got some massive load. It must have been about 20 office phones from there, and I've still got them in my death pile. They're all tangled up. So I haven't bought myself to actually untangle them. I think I untangled one. I've sold one, but the rest are all tangled. So
yeah,
I do need to attack them at some point.
I clicked on a question, and this comes up quite often as well from Secret Carper. What do you think is the minimum amount of listings you should list each day to make the most of eBay? And I'm not sure that has an answer, because it depends totally on what you're listing. And if you've got 3 or 4 fast selling items and thousands of them, you could run a store with only 5 items and never list.
I mean, it also depends, different people want different things out of eBay. The turnover I want might be different to the turnover that Secret Carper wants, or Derek or you want. So I mean, I can say what I generally do, and generally I will always want to do 5 in the morning and want to do 10 in the day minimum. And if I do get in the groove, which does happen, I'll tend to draft to try and get some in the bank.
I agree about 10 is a good number, but I think more important it's to list different things. So as long as you list, like, I don't know, say if you've got some electricals, list some electricals, also list some ornaments, and list some plush or something. And then if one niche isn't selling, you've got another thing you've also got listed. So you've got a variety of different things.
It's weird, that thing about, I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious that listing creates sales, but it's definitely that if you list in a niche, if I suddenly was listed, I don't know, some clothes, some tracky tops or something, and I'm listed like clothing for 3 months, I'll get a sale, not necessarily on the ones I've listed, but just another bit of clothing that's been on my shop for ages. And I definitely think that bump is kind of category specific within eBay. So it not only does it know your listing, but it knows you're listing clothing, or it knows you're listing electricals. I kind of, you can never say 100% sure, but it seems that I've had that a few times. Like, oh, that's sold. Well, that's strange because I've been listing that. It
could also be though that because it's a new listing that's being promoted by eBay, so people are clicking on it and then they're clicking into your shop and looking at your other clothes while they're there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a linear thing. They come to your store and then they have a look around.
Yeah.
But we don't know how the algorithm works, and they change it constantly, so nobody knows really. But I mean, that question, it's really hard to answer because there's so many models of eBay. If you're doing the Music Magpie approach, you'd probably have to list tens of thousands of items a week, because they're making 50p a pound per item if they're lucky on a lot of the cheap media. But if you're selling, I don't know, used cars, you might list one a week.
It's funny when you do get questions like that, because I think you go through different stages of how you think about eBay as you sort of go on to being a reseller. Because I remember sort of thinking in my first couple of years when I started, I want to get to so many listings, and I've only just kind of cottoned on that. I don't really, because why would I want 500 unsold listings? Because and it's through talking to people who have really good turnover. The stuff is going through this store, so it's a healthy store. Profit might be not amazing, but they're getting the sort of churn and burn, but they only have maximum 200 listings. And I've got my 600-700 listings, and I'm very envious of what they've got, because they're getting it in and getting it out and getting it sold, which is the whole point. So
I'm I'm chasing that even harder now. I would like to be on a minimal store. We're currently at around 250 items, I think. But like today, I think I listed, I don't know, 10 items or so, and I think we sold half of them already. And that's how I like it. I would rather put it on like this, for example. I did have that pang of, did I undersell it at 70? But I don't think so. It was just pitched right. But if you are pushing really hard on price, you will have it sat there. And if that's your model, then
I think that's basically the way I do it. I price very high and I reduce it over time, but I do end up having 1,500 items.
All on a wonky shelf behind you.
All balanced up there.
Yeah, right, falling over there.
It's a leaning Tower of Derek.
There's another question here that, again, I think is all very specific to what you sell. The legend has said, how long does it take you guys to photograph 10 items? It seems to take me around 2 hours, mostly electrical. But you see, electrical stuff, there's a lot of setting up, cleaning, potentially.
Yeah, it's not just the photos, is it? It's the testing.
Well, I'm doing videos of electrical items now, like working anything that has any kind of electrical thing.
I do it if it's worth the value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if it's just the photographing, as in if you do all of the drafting, testing, cleaning, and then you do a session of photography, which is how I kind of like to do it if I'm being organised, it doesn't take too long because you get into that groove of it. It's like today when I was doing vinyl, I did all the photography, one after the other. And it doesn't take long at all. And if you're doing bog standard media, it's seconds for that.
Yeah. Stuff like gaming, that's like everything out of the case, back, front,
Yeah.
And stuff like shoes, at an angle, maybe 8 different angles, turning it around, top and bottom and label.
Interesting question on photography. Do you use all 12 pictures? Because I was doing vinyl LPs today and I was trying to use all 12, just taking every corner, every side until I'd run out of pictures.
I used to be really, keen to film all, but now I don't really bother. I think I'm kind of like, get it on and get the price right.
I generally do. I just find that I don't have enough photos for all the different things I want to take, so I use up the 12 quite quick.
Yeah, and I find, because particularly with vinyl, because now I'm really into my collecting, I trust a listing more if they use all 12 pictures and show all weird angles and whatever. It just instills in you, they're not scared to show me every corner of this. If you see an LP that's just laid there flat and the back of it, I don't feel like they've really shown me it. And then if there's a similarly priced one, or maybe a couple of quid more that I can see every corner, because I am that collector, I'll buy that, even if it's more. So I think that's quite an intuitive thing to remember.
Yeah, definitely something like that. If it is like collectible or valuable. But I listed some Furbies today, so I was like, oh yeah, just 6 photos, that's enough. As long as I do the back.
It depends on what it is.
It does depend on what it is. So,
I often come to upload photos and there's only 4 photos, but that's really all I can, unless I do what Nick just said and really take some detailed photos, which on a Furby, is it really worth bothering?
Yeah, always
on a collectible item, you might want to see the detail, but
I used to be really kind of like hot on, I've got to use them all, and sometimes I'd repeat. Like if I had 4 photos, I'd put the same 4 photos in 3 times.
Yeah, I always do that. If I do only have 5 photos, I just add the same 5 again. I don't know if it makes any difference.
Yeah, I think I used to think, because you're supposed to fill out your title, you're supposed to fill out your photos. Does eBay actually look at the kind of how much you filled it out in terms of characters used? Or
the reason I do the photos is because it was on somebody's reselling chat at some point. Somebody said that eBay prefer it. Yeah, now, whether that's true or not, I think they're just guessing, the same as
it is difficult. I mean, I think what they really prefer is a competitive price, and maybe if you promote it, and a good item that's in demand.
Because I've sold the key 2 photos and it sells. So I don't know if it makes much of a difference.
Yeah. I've highlighted something here, Brett. Hi, Brett. Have any of you got any item or items not Christmas that you have squirreled away, waiting for the price of it to shoot up in the months or years to come?
Yeah,
I have an item that I was sitting on, and I listed it today, and it sold instantly. I'm having a clear out. This is a Fresh Mode box set that HMV cleared out in a sale. And I was thinking of holding on to it long term, as in years. But I just listed it today and it sold instantly for 34. I'm happy with that. But I reckon long term, they're only making one run of them. So but I cashed out quick.
I don't really squirrel away stuff. I do sort of because I've got a huge death pile, but I don't do it for any reason.
Not intentionally.
Not intentional. But...
I've never done it in previous years, but this year I've decided to any handheld I get. So I've got a few here.
Oh.
They're just being pugged away in a shoebox or something, and I'll list those in October, sort of September, October.
For Christmas this year, then.
For Christmas this year.
Not long term. Okay.
Yeah,
I've done
not long term.
Christmas. Board games for Christmas. I mean, there's board games up there. They were squirreled away for Christmas, but the Christmas has been and gone, and they're still there.
It's still there.
That's why I don't like board games anymore.
That is the problem with squirreling stuff away for Christmas. I've had like Christmas decorations, Christmas ornaments, this, that, and the other, and I forget where they are. I forget I've got them. Put them in the loft. They're dead to me. You know what I mean? And you forget. And you only see them.
I've got some vintage Christmas lights, Christmas tree lights. 2 Christmases I've missed because I can't find them. I've got some of them, but I haven't got all of them. I was going to do like a bundle because they're all sort of used.
I've got Halloween pumpkin dog jumpers. I got in Asda for like a 50p or something on a clearance. That was about 4 years ago. I think I've remembered a couple of Halloweens to put them on, but I've missed some as well. I've gone, oh God, I've got a pumpkin dog jumper here. Great. Yeah. I don't think that's going to sell in March. So
wow. So Brett, the key is, Brett, to remember what you've squirreled away.
Definitely.
Good question. See what else we've got. I'm aware I am way behind in the chat, so if you put something in, I'm getting there. Anyone still getting lowball offers? Just 15 minutes ago, old Apple iPhone for £15. Offer came in at £1.18. That's a bit offensive.
I'd be tempted to block that straight away.
I never get lowball because I have auto decline on.
What do you set it at?
Usually like £10 less than what I've got it asking for.
All right.
Although I did when all this cost of living crisis started, I did remove it and reduced it. I think by blankets at £20 across everything. So some of the things are like £2 now, but I'm still not getting any really lowball offers.
I'll tell you what, though, it might be worth thinking. I know it makes it easier if you have got auto decline on, but another algorithm rumor I've heard is that if you do actually get an offer and you respond with a counter offer, they see that as interaction with the buyer and more favourable in, for your shop or whatever. So, I mean, if I've got like a £40 item and that I've only just listed, and someone comes along and offers like a £5 for it, I will go back and say, 30, 38, 36 or whatever, even though it's miles away from where they are. And I'll definitely always interact with them. So.
The reason I've always done auto decline is because if I'm having a really crap day, it's too tempting to take the rubbish price. Not a really crap price, but something that, you've got something for £80, they send you a £30 off and you've had no sales that day and it's 10 o'clock at night. You might think, I'll sell it for £30, but it's still worth £80 and it will sell for £80 eventually.
Or press it by accident. Go, no, God, no, what have I done?
So that's why I put it on. But I also heard that if you do get an offer, then whilst the offer's sort of active and not being dealt with, you get a bump up in the algorithm as well.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
There's so many theories, and I think they're all just made up because nobody knows.
let's make up some theories, algorithm theories. And I mean, another one was, which kind of goes against what you just said, is if you get a message, the quicker you answer it, the better. Because I used to leave messages just like hanging around, and items with questions that are unanswered was like 58 or something.
Well,
now I'm like on it all the time.
Well, on Etsy, there's a stat in the sort of seller performance thing that sort of says how quickly you respond to messages. So they're sort of tracking that sort of information. I'm sure eBay are as well.
Yeah, you've got to kind of think. So yeah, if I get a message about anything, even if it's like when it's not a question, it can be like someone you've had a conversation, they say thanks, but it still comes up. Mark it as reply, Mark has answered and all that sort of thing. So I'm quite hot on that at the moment.
Speaking of questions, Fix It for Reselling asks, if you bought something that's worth over £500, blimey, but it's really cool, would you keep it or sell it? I can't bring myself to sell my Sharp VZ3000.
I've got a few
It would
things.
have to be something epic for me to keep that. I tell you, that's a big investment.
Yeah, if I always go on the basis of I've bought it to resell, that it's just business, and I don't get myself involved in it too much. That's the way I do it. But I have actually got a Sharp VZ3000 over there.
Of course you have.
There you go.
Which needs belts replaced. So I still need to watch. I think it's Neil's video.
Oh, is that the record player, the stand-up one? No?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I love that. Yeah.
I think I've mentioned it on chats before. I do mean on just selling it as sort of spares repairs. I bought it too high at auction. I paid £100 for it. I think it was way too much.
Well, it's not too bad if it's worth 500.
Yeah, as I say, it's worth that if all the belts are done. So I bought the belt kit. The belt kit's there. That cost me about £30. So I really sort of need to do it. But
I bought a QL, or I got a QL, and I had to get a power supply for it, and that was 60 quid. And then it needed a new keyboard membrane, that was 20. And I've just ordered today like a SCART lead, RGB SCART lead, and that was 13. So I've already spent like 100 quid on this QL because various bits aren't working. It does work. The computer works. I put it on, but it's like, do I want to resell it? Probably not going to get a huge amount of money for it. But I mean, I tend to keep. I've got an Amiga 1200 up there, and also got like a CD32, which was Amiga's console, which I bought at a boot fair. I remember when I bought that, someone bought it for about 20 quid. They sold it to someone else for about, I don't know how much they sold it for, about 70 or something. And then I bought it and I got it for 170. So it'd already gone through 3 resellers before it got to me. If only I'd got it like originally, I got it for 20 quid, but there you go. But that's kind of still sat on the shelf.
Yeah.
So it's all full of vintage computing up there.
I'm not really keeping. I'm trying to think what I'm keeping now. I'm scratching that itch with vinyl these days, so I'm not really. But we do get to enjoy stuff for that time it's with us, regardless. Anyway, you know what I mean? I do enjoy stuff while I have it. But yeah,
I think if I got a Game and Watch, I found one at a boot fair last season, and I have bought a few off eBay. Not cheap, but got them on bids, and I'm kind of into maybe forming a collection. I think I've mentioned that before. Like getting a collection of that just because it's small, it's right kind of my era. So, but yes, try not to hoard.
A local charity shop had a sign up, boot sale Saturday. I said, where's the car boot sale? They said, no, it's a sale on boots. Excellent. I sold a bottle of 1980s Vosine shampoo for 30 quid. Isn't that amazing?
I sold a bottle of Lynx when that was, a few years ago when people were going on about the Lynx.
Yeah, I remember making a video about that. People were gobsmacked. You could sell those old cans for silly money.
Weird. I've sold some aftershave for quite a lot as well in the past. I've got some on sale now, but nobody seems to want that one. But I've sold them in the past. Auctions.
An old bottle of Old Spice talc I sold, and it was for someone who was buying it for someone who had Alzheimer's or something, and it was that memory of the smell was very evocative.
Yeah, wow. Daniel's niche is bondage gear at the moment, so it sells. Mustn't grumble.
If I saw that at a boot fair, I don't think I'll be able to stop laughing because I'll just be looking at the person I was buying it from and going,
I know. How awkward would that be? How much is your bondage
Yeah.
good?
I saw someone selling Viagra once, but it was a really old guy, and I just remember terrible because I was just like saw the thing of pills, and I looked up at him, and then I looked back down, and I looked back up, and I was like, oh, I've got to move on.
Awkward. Picked up a pair of Fender Strat bookends. Nice. Yeah, tempted to keep them. Yeah, I can see that. They sound cool. Oh, the chat's jumping. Sorry if I've missed questions. Oh, look at that. Paul, I bought an Interview with the Vampire hardback book by Anne Rice. When I took it home, I found it was signed. Cost me 50p, sold for 275.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah, epic. Didn't even know it was signed when you bought it. That's an epic surprise when you get it home. Blimey.
Do you do a lot of books? I tried to get into books probably about 4 years ago, but I found it really, unless you're buying in bulk or have the means to sort of go through lots of stuff. I was going in charity shops and I just found it absolutely impossible, to find. I was scanning, doing the Amazon app, and couldn't find anything.
When I was doing Amazon, I was doing more.
Yeah.
I dabble. I sold some art books recently. I got like 40 quid for one, and
I used to get the odd one, but I think when I started it, I was kind of like, this will be great. I've just got to go around all the charity shops and scan and scan and scan. And I did that, and it was like, this doesn't seem to be like panning out how I imagined. I'm not getting loads of books, but
the only time I've done well on books is if I've stumbled across one, but almost by accident. It's been in a bundle of general tat I've got from the auction or something. I've never purposely gone out and thought, right, I'm getting that book. Seen it in a charity shop. Right?
It's like most niche, isn't it? It's all about knowledge and being able to spot it a mile off and home in on it. This sounds cool. Secret Carper again says, I've been given a football rattler. Well, I thought it was. Turns out it's a World War I, 1918 gas rattler. Warning, gas is coming. Put your mask on. Wow. What a piece of history that is. Love items like that.
Gas rattler. That's what that looks like.
Yeah. So basically, it'd be the same as a football rattler then. Just
it is. Yeah.
To warn people that
like a big wooden, looks like a plane on a stick sort of thing.
All right.
Like a, tool. Wow.
That's a good question. Do you ever pick something up and then discover you can't find another one listed or even find an example of it online? It happens, doesn't it? I guess we've all had that. So what's your go-to plan for that? List it high, see what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose there's two ways of dealing with that. If it's super obscure, I'd suggest you're better off going chance in your arm and listing it beyond where you would deem it could go with offers on. Because if you list a really obscure item on auction, which is the other route, there's only going to be one or two people maybe looking for it. So it's not going to...
Yeah, it's not going to go...
You've got to get two people at least to get competition. So kind of almost doing a reverse auction, starting it here and seeing what offers you get and slowly coming down.
So list it as an auction but high. Because I think that's what I'd do. If I really didn't have a clue, I'd probably go,
buy it now with offer, I reckon.
You put buy it now with... Yeah.
I've got a similar item on at the moment, a vintage clock. It's like an antique 1800s clock. It's like a slate granite type thing. I've sold one before and I got £100 for just the slate case, no clock inside. This one's got the clock and it works. It runs a little bit fast, but it does actually work. It's got some damage to the casing, but I've listed that 400 quid or something. But I expect it's probably worth about 200. But I've put offers on it and I'll see what happens.
Exactly, because you're looking for that one person, aren't you? And yours is the only one like that, I guess, you can find on there. So you've got nothing to lose by sitting and waiting on that, as long as you've got the space to store it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a different situation, if it was like a huge thing, meter squared or something, then that might be different. But because it's a fairly small item, I'll just keep hold of it until I get fed up and then reduce.
Do you kind of keep track on how much interest your items are having? Because I was going through. I was kind of thinking, I'm getting sort of sick of all the dead stock I've got, and I went through my shop yesterday, and it's got that like watchers and viewed in the last 31 days. Like if you look at all your live active items, anything that had 2 views or less in the last 31 days, I took off. I was going through just culling my store. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it, whether it'll I'll get rid, or whether I'll reassess it, bundle it, reprice it a lot cheaper, promote it more heavily.
Well, it certainly would have been well, I thought you were going to say you ended them all and then relisted them all to give them a boost.
Well, I ended them, and now I think the plan is like there are some there which could go on like a multi-listing, and some there where I'll cut the price, and I think I will probably do a sell similar and really cut the price and really heavily promote them, because I really get a feeling that kind of stock that no one's looking at will just pulls the rest of your items down with it. So I'd be interested to see how that goes. To sort
of, I generally end and sell similar pretty much at the end of 30 days. So every morning, I end anything that's ending that morning.
Oh right.
And I then reduce the price. So eventually it just goes right down.
Yeah, I was doing it myself.
Or it becomes too much of a hassle. Usually it just sells. I never really get to the point where I have to dispose of it.
I was
just kind of so cheap in the end.
I had a routine of like I'd go in and look at the oldest every day and look at the oldest 10 items, like when they were listed. So that could be, because I'm on a cycle, it could be stuff that was listed maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I'd take those 10 off, and I'd have a kind of pool of like maybe 40 items that I'd taken off, and then churn them over, reassess them, put them back on. But yesterday I was just like, I really feel like I just need to go through everything that hasn't had like even a view in the last, because they've only just started doing this 31-day views. I think it used to be 3 months before.
But isn't the views all messed up anyway at the moment? That's where you got to be careful.
Well, I did hear that rumor, but then I was just like, I'm just going to do it anyway, and just it doesn't do any harm to shake things up, even if you're not too sure whether the numbers are right or wrong. So
my kind of the way I've always done it is at the beginning of each year I will go through and be ruthless in the store and just take a load of stuff to a car boot sale, mark it all down ridiculously cheap first, maybe, or switch into auction, and then have a big clear out and refresh it. And that's kind of the only thing I really do now. Just quickly on Moshi Monsters, I thought that died a death. I didn't think there was any value in them, but I might be wrong.
I've had them a couple of times, and I think I bought them from a charity shop and ended up donating them to a charity shop. So
yeah, but
maybe there are a few rare ones.
Check the gold ones, whatever they are, on eBay. But I don't know. I think that ship has sailed.
Get your spray paint out.
That was cheap for a Nintendo 3DS. Check CEX. I didn't actually look on CEX, but I did my searches on eBay, and this one has all of the paint is worn off on the ends. I don't know if you can see all that black is where they've scratched the paint off, and it had scratches on the top screen. So compared with eBay, I thought I did pretty well out of it.
Sometimes CEX do have good prices, like compared to only slightly less than what you get on eBay, and you're not going to have any comeback from it, which is the great thing. And especially for stuff like I don't know Wii stuff, which is just like all over the place. To take it to CEX and just dump it there and get credit
That's something I need to have a look at, because I've got, I think it's about 5 or 6 Wii bundles I've got. I've had them on sale for ages now, and they haven't sold. They're just not worth a lot now. So I need to review it.
Wii for £50 last week, I think it was.
It's good going for a Wii.
Mine just aren't selling. I've got like 2 games with it: controller, power pack.
Yeah, this would have a bundle.
They're not boxed.
No,
£30 now. I think I've got for that.
Yeah, because somebody, I can't remember who said, someone was saying, weren't they, that CX was giving fairly good money for a week,
Yeah, I
controller
think.
and all the leads.
Yeah, I need to have a look at it because it might be better just to get rid of them there. I've stopped picking them up. There was a Wii Fit board at the boot sale for £1 last week, and I didn't even bother picking that up.
I've turned
Oh.
them down. I've turned them
No.
down free.
Yeah.
I sold one of them last week for 20 quid.
That's good going on a Wii Fit.
Yeah, I've
Was
got
that boxed? Yeah.
Unboxed. There's a black one though. I don't know if that makes a lot of difference these days.
No, not really.
Ian says I generally try to price everything to sell, which is kind of my way of doing things these days.
Definitely.
As there's always £8 to £10 stock out there, which is roughly the items I target.
Yeah.
If getting hold of the stock isn't the issue, I would rather sell it, somewhere here than wait forever to hear, because I can pick up another bunch of them at the weekend.
This is the problem I constantly battle myself with because I like getting the higher prices, but I'm filling my car every week at the boot sales, and I can't list it quick enough. So
if getting the stuff isn't the problem,
yeah.
then I would say maybe tweak that a little bit. But it depends. It totally depends, doesn't it? Where you're at.
It depends what the item is. A lot of items I'm happy. I do take lower offers. It's like CRT TVs. I've got them priced quite high, but I've got a hell of a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I can get another 5 or 6 this week if I wanted.
It's a difficult balance, definitely.
But it takes a long time to pack. So I need to get a certain amount. Some of them I've had to buy remotes for off eBay, so they might be £5-10 extra.
You always seem to have a full car though. Every time you do like a haul video, like I say, I went on Wednesday, and sometimes I walk around my boot fest, and I don't think it's me because I do talk to other resellers, and we're all just going, "God, it is crap." Is it this? It's not as good as it was 2 years ago, and always my worry has been, am I going to be able to source enough? Because like I'm right in peak season now. And I just do the maths in my head, if I wanted to list, 10 a day, say minimum, I've got to get 70 in a week, but also factor in that you're not always going to be car booting every week. So maybe that's, to take into account the off season, maybe it's 100 a week you've got to source. So say if you go to like 3 boot fairs, you've got to get like 30, 35 things at that boot fair that are going to be good. And if I go to a boot fair and I get one thing, I'm like, oh my God. So I do have this kind of like fear of, can I source enough?
I think that's why I like having a death pile, because if I did go there next week and I didn't buy anything, it wouldn't really bother me.
Yeah.
As long as I have actually gone there. It's when I don't go there and I think, oh God, there's loads of good stuff there and I haven't bothered getting it. But as long as I've actually gone, I don't mind going there and not picking anything up, because I know there's loads of stuff here to list anyway.
Yeah.
I'll probably be quite pleased in a way because I haven't added to my death pile.
I found it difficult in the last couple of months seeing, pictures of people's boots fill up from the car boots, because I've been not doing that purposefully to reduce this. And we've been going to the jumble trails. But that's what I was going to say as well. I think mixing it up sourcing wise, going that extra mile to go to a jumble trail. When we hit a good jumble trail, we can fill the car up, but it's a higher quality stuff generally. You see what I mean? And
yeah,
and jumbles as well. I know you like a jumble sale.
Yeah,
seeking those out and making the effort to be there an hour early so you're in front of the queue, because there's no point being 50th in the queue.
No,
you know what I mean? So
you get all your stuff in probably the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent it is more competitive these days. Certainly if you take it to when I started 20 years ago. Yeah. I'd turn up at a boot sale when it was closing and come away with Nintendo 64s. It's a different world. But yeah, I think there are a lot more people who are doing this casually now and knowing what's valuable and that sort of thing.
You just have to, you just have to kind of adapt and find new ways of. I mean, I've tried to find new ways of sourcing and
start setting up local events. You see.
Yeah,
and when the app is out, use the tools on that. I highlighted a comment ages ago. Vic says, we all agree it's not fair that we have to pay return postage on dodgy returns. I've been wondering recently if it could possibly be legally challenged. Well, we've we've managed to get our return postage refunded to us from eBay when we complain about that sort of thing several times. So give them a call and say this was returned and his reason wasn't true and here's why. They give you that money back.
If you're top rated, you'll have seller protection, so you can do a 50% refund on it. You can claim back your postage. So they, it's a bit rubbish if they've bought something and they've sent back their old broken item. Obviously, you can't then really sell it. You might be able to, but not for much. So 50% still doesn't help you much, but at least it's something.
Yeah, we had a typewriter. I sold a typewriter for 50 or 60, really decent one. They wrecked it. I mean, I don't know what they were doing, but they just ruined it, sent it back. It was the same one. I could prove that. So I think it was 60 maybe. So I just gave them £30 back. And I don't know whether they challenged it and eBay gave them the rest back or not, what happened. But so we ended up losing that share of the profit, but you are at least protected to some extent. But it was, really annoying, that one.
But it's like the video you did a few months back. I can't see how eBay can do anything more, to be honest with you.
No.
The only thing I would like them to do is if you've got a top-rated seller with a good history of selling, and you've got a brand new zero-rated user, maybe then they could do more than the 50% or some, allow you to basically not give a refund. I know eBay would probably have to give them the refund out of their own pocket, but they should trust the seller in that situation more because you've got a record with them, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess their argument behind closed doors would be that that's taking each case on a case-by-case basis, which is where I'm pretty sure they don't want to go.
They don't want to go there, no.
Because then it's either creating some way complicated algorithm to work it out, which will be.
Because how can they say this user is, not as experienced as this? You've got, as you say, you've got to have some sort of algorithm to work all that out based on sales history and buying history and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's never going to be perfect, and that's what we have to accept. And if you're going to get into distance selling, you're never going to be fully protected, because if someone's prepared to be dodgy and lie, they will get away with a certain percentage of it.
Well, I think go back to the question about can there be any legal ramifications about it? I think basically they're within their right to return it for any reason.
Yeah.
Whenever they want, up to like 6 months or whatever it is. That's why people can do chargebacks, isn't it? So
yeah,
I don't think you can do anything legally with it.
I mean, I think you do have to accept that it is always a possibility that it can happen, and just know how to deal with it if it does. And
I think the trick is move on quick, forget it.
Move on quick, yeah.
It ruins your day, and you end up not listening to anything else.
I mean, I've had some stinkers, but I don't think I've ever gone on Facebook and sort of said this isn't fair, this has happened. It is a case of, well, I'll try my best to speak to eBay, and sometimes you might get an okay resolution, sometimes you might not. But if you don't, and you're down 150 on a sale, I try and think, well, how much did I buy it for? First of all, if I bought it for 20 quid, I go, well, it is only like 20 quid, really. But, when I ring eBay, I try and I like to have a clear idea of where I want them to go and what the process should be. So it's not like this has happened, what do I do? It's like, this has happened. I think the process now is that we do this, we do this, we do this. Like I had one, I sold something spares and repairs, and I got a negative feedback and in moaning about that, and got it cleared. And I don't know. I like to think it was because of how I kind of guided the conversation, but I mean, nothing's ever going to be absolutely brilliant. You are going to have ups and downs with eBay. It's just the way it is.
And the thing is, I think that makes a whole world of difference. If you've had that conversation with yourself, that video you mentioned that I made was part of that, is to kind of prepare people who are new to this to the fact that it will happen someday. If you're going to sell much online, somebody will rip you off. And as long as you know that's coming and it's somewhere in the future, it doesn't floor you when it happens. And then when it does happen, look at how much you made for the whole of last month, for example, and compare that to the 30 quid you just lost or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay. It's still only a tiny percentage of the overall, because it feels like such a big deal when it's happening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When
no one wants it to happen.
It feels like it's personal, but it's not really.
No.
Yeah, I just swear a lot and try to move on as quickly as I can.
Yeah, exactly.
No one likes it, do they? But
There's quite a few people asking about promotions and do we promote our items? Me personally, I do promote my items. I generally, if they go on, I'll leave them for a month, see if they sell, and then I tend to get promoted a blanket 1%, and then after about 3 months, I generally will put it up to 5% max or suggested. So if it's suggested is 3%, it will be the lower amount. And then if this stuff I was talking about that I've taken off, I've got 150 items I've taken off, I'll probably go in and put those at the suggested, maybe even more. But I won't go absolutely ridiculous, But I might go up to sort of like 10% just to get rid of things, because I probably look at it as that I would take a 10% offer. So
using the I haven't done it a lot myself, but I did watch somebody's video and it really made a lot of sense. Using the percentage what promoted rather than running a sale is more effective, somebody was saying. But
well, it is all about getting that eyes on that item.
Yeah.
And when you look at your impressions, and it is a funnel, so your kind of impressions will go down to your actual item views, which will go down to your like watches and sales. So I mean, I've noticed it when I've promoted. If I had my whole shop and it wasn't being, none of it was being promoted, as soon as you start promoting it, you'll see a huge increase in impressions. Probably, I can't think what it was for me, but it was maybe 3-4 times as much. So you're going, okay, well, straight away, it's like a funnel. That first point of the funnel is like 3 times as big. So hopefully that translates into more page views on the item and then more sales.
Yeah. You can equate it to paying for leads for a business, can't you? Like business leads. It's the same sort of thing. And you're right. And I promote everything, 1 or 2%. And just quickly, I brought up KG's question about selling used electricals. I know that's a big part of your business, Derek. So do you dabble with pat testing or not?
No, I don't get them pat tested at all.
No. I never have either. I had a high street store for nearly 10 years. It's not a necessary thing, especially not if it's a plugged and fused item.
I mean, there's no obligation to have that done by eBay. Obviously, if that was the case, then you'd have to start doing it. But like liability, if they get like a video recorder and it burns down their house or something like that 2 months down the line, I can't see how they can have any comeback to me.
It's fair. Now, this is where we stray into giving advice on that sort of thing. I would say if you're concerned about it, seek legal advice, honestly. Public liability, when we had the shop, we did have public liability cover. But even then, I don't think it would have covered us selling electrical goods of what happened outside the shop after the sale, right? So
because you don't know what they've done with the item, how they've stored it. They've stored it in a damp condition and plugged it in the next day and it's exploded or something.
Yeah. It's a whole grey area and a can of worms, but I would seek legal advice if that's something you're looking into getting, because we're 3 dodgy blokes on the internet. Don't listen to us.
I tell you, if you're worried about it, don't do it.
Exactly that. Yeah, if it's going to stress you out selling electricals, don't touch it. Definitely. We've done an hour, but we'll keep going for a little bit if you're okay.
Keep going if there's some questions.
There's no way we're going to get to all of these. Oh, Ian's in.
See, Jonathan has just asked a question. Sorry, I'm skipping right at the end, but he says, do you guys have a minimum number of active listings you aim for? No, I don't, because it's all about selling. I was saying at the start of this chat, I used to, in my first 2 or 3 years, I was like, I've got to get to 1,000 active items. But then the penny dropped. Why would I want to do that? And like I said earlier, I know other people who have 100, 200 items on their store. They're getting it in, they're selling it. It's in, gone, and that's what you want. Don't look at your active listings. Look at your sold items.
I remember years ago, I felt like I was the only person who didn't care how many items I had listed, because it was all about, you need 1,000 items plus in your store to be doing this, to be doing this. And I was like, no, I'd rather have 0 listed and have it all sold. And people were looking at me like, you crazy fool, you need 1,000 items listed. I'm like, no, I have 200 items listed and I'm doing very well out of it. And it's like,
I don't think you need a certain amount. I don't think you need like 1,000 or anything like that. But I think you do need enough of a variety of things for consistent sales. I do think that
you need a constant conveyor belt of quality stuff that's going to sell, right?
Yeah.
That kind of is it. And if that's not your model, you need to tweak your model till it works. And there's as many models of selling on eBay as there are people selling on eBay. So it's about,
But if you want to look at numbers, I mean, look at how many and what value of things you're listing every day. That's important. And look at the value of value every week or every month or every day of what you've sold. So how much you've sold, how much you've got on, because that is basically what's come in and what's gone out. You don't want to know what's stuck there. It's what's coming in the pipe, what's going out the pipe. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And the bottom line number is the only number that matters, as in how much you've actually made in any given space of time. So being honest with yourself about that number is the one thing that I think doesn't come up enough in these conversations. It's about you being honest with that bottom line number. Turnover is irrelevant. The amount of items you've sold is irrelevant. It's all about your outgoings and your income and what you're left with. And if you're being honest about that, that's all you need to know. And it may not relate at all to anyone else, and it shouldn't do, really. So it's not really an outward question, it's an inward question.
So I mean, when you see things with like, people might say, I've got 1,000 listings, I think that's relevant. And when you see posts that say I've got like 20 grand turnover in the last 9 months, people might be putting loads of work in and not getting much profit out of that. I mean, but there's so many different models. I mean, I used to like trying to sell things for at least 4 times what I bought them for. Obviously, I'd prefer like 20 times. Now I'm getting more and more stuff because there's more and more competition, where it's maybe double. Like after fees and everything, I've made double my money, but I'm doing more volume. So it swings and roundabouts with that. So it's a real difficult one to put a number on.
So I jumped to the end of the chat.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just caught my eye.
Lots of stuff in between I didn't touch on. Oh, that sounds exciting. Rusty says, finally hit a home run. Just got back into reselling. Totally need to make that money. Got 2 boxes of paintball stuff. I've sold paintball stuff before. So much money in it. 1 gun is worth more than $2,000. Wow. Yeah, excellent.
Need to find some paintball companies that have gone belly up.
Oh, absolutely.
Buy stuff in bulk.
James has an interesting comment. For 1% promotion, you get double the exposure. When you promote it by whatever percentage, it gets to the top of the listings when people search for it. Higher percentage.
You get the sponsored.
That's basically why I promote. I do 1%. I never really. Occasionally I do 2, but I'm not really sure why. I just want to tweak it a little bit, but I always promote at least at 1%.
And it's so little anyway. It's like 20p on a 20 quid item. It's
Plus, remember when you also get your store credit as well for promoted items. So I think it's up to £10 or something. So as long as
I don't think I've done that. Do you have to actually accept that? Or
no, it's all automatic.
All automatic. Oh, okay. That's good. Just as well.
This was, I think it was about 6 months ago when I last sort of actually checked it. But pretty sure it's still the case.
This is an interesting one. Bought an unused Tommy Super Cup football game for £5, listed at 249. And eBay continually messaged asking, "Is this a joke?" Don't you love it when people question your items and your pricing? Reported into eBay. Wow. I slowly reduced and it went at 180. Nice sale. No joke. Yeah.
I had
Interesting.
someone constantly. He messaged me about it was about a boombox I had on, and he was on for 180, and he was like, "Yeah, I do want to buy it." And then it was like, "No," he bought it and cancelled it 3 times, and then I blocked him. But now he's messaging me on different items, and I think I probably ended and sold similar the original items, and he still messaged me going, "I've changed my mind. I do want to buy it," but he can't because he's on my block list. But it's just like, will you just go away? Is it,
I've had similar.
maybe maybe
I've
there's some
similar.
issue there, but it's like, not you again. Yeah.
James has said there, I've never understood people having a death pile. I can't stand knowing I've got stuff I need to get listed. I have a strict process, source, picture, list, store over the course of a week. That's kind of with the house move and how we're thinking we're going to switch up what we do. We're going to aim to get to the whatever we buy this week is going to be listed by the next weekend, which we have never done in like 20 years of doing this.
Well, that's a perfect model of my business. I've got no death pile. No death pile there.
That's just like a put in background, isn't it? That's a screen.
Ignore all of this.
That does sound ideal. What James is doing, though, it sounds like the efficiency there sounds like absolutely on point.
Well,
So
I did get to the point where I was getting everything from the car boot sale and working through it. And this was shortly after lockdown. So I got rid of most of my death pile. There was still a death pile, but not much of it.
You just got it down from 5 death piles to like 2 death piles.
Yeah. And I was listing everything from the car boot sale before the next one came along. So it was a nice system going. But then the boot sales all started to open up a bit more and I was getting more stuff. And now I can't, I'm buying twice as much.
You do get a lot in though. Like I said, earlier, you always fill in that boot, and I'm going out and getting like one thing. It's like,
it does make me wonder.
I'm tempted to go to Scotland. I tell you.
In my head, I've got the fact that it might be raining for a few weeks, so there won't be a boot sale, or maybe not as many. And then the death pile saved me throughout COVID. Not that I think there'd be any lockdowns like that, but as we all know, it's not impossible now. So I like to have a little bit of a death pile, but not. I've got it's way too big. I agree with that. But
Ian, hi Ian, good to see you. Is books on Amazon, FBA, FBM still a thing? Oh, sure, but not for me. It's still a big thing for some people. Okay, I think we're going to draw a line under this shortly. Thank you for all your questions and apologies if I didn't get to them. It's very hard to keep up with the chat and talk and have a conversation. And then the chat likes to do its own random thing, jumping up and down. So apologies. We'll have to do this again at some point and just take questions because an hour isn't very long when you get stuck into questions.
I'll tell you, if any questions have been missed and somebody really wants an answer, if you put it in the comments, then me, Nick or Derek can sort of see the comments and put a reply into it.
Yeah, definitely. We can come back to this video after the fact. Okay. Oh, James is in. Hi. Good to see you. So, yeah, how are things going YouTube-wise? Derek, have you got any hauls or anything coming on your channel?
I've still got a little bit of a backlog of videos from the car boot sale.
Backlog of videos as well. Blimey, you missed the backlog.
Like a death pile of videos.
I've still got to edit them, but I probably could get one out probably next week, or be next week now. And then I did record one last weekend, so eventually that will become the latest one. And then from then on, I hope to have them every week like I used to. That's my sort of plans.
I should be doing more YouTube, although I was planning on doing one for the midweek boot fair, but a haul video which is just this, I can't even eat that out for 10 minutes. And no. I think we'd had about 3 boot fairs that had been rained off before that. But I've got my Monday live, which I'll always do, and I think I might, try and think of a video, something, some amazing insight, reselling insight.
Oh, now there's a reason to sub to Pete. because an amazing insight is coming.
I used to, maybe do these a bit more than I do, because it all seems to be haul videos at the moment, and what I got or what I sold. But
it's difficult to keep it fresh, though. It's difficult to come up with ideas and to have that energy to try and create something, right? My videos have been lacking because I've been focusing on, because I've got the music channel and that's been taken off. I've been putting all my effort on there.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
Of course, it's a lot of stuff has all been said before, but I mean, it's stuff that was going through my brain is like trying to maintain that, goodish turnover. We've talked about certain things you can do, and maybe just putting a video out about that, of looking at your deadish items, doing sell similar, making sure it's promoted, and so I might do a little 10-minute video on that, just to sort of reiterate what
I think those videos are really watchable. Actually, somebody's insight who's actually doing it and who's tried it is always helpful, even if it's been said before.
Oh, it has been said before, but there might be one little thing,
but you'll have new subscribers that will have never seen it, and it's probably
I have reached the dizzy heights of 2,730 subscribers. So I celebrate every 10 subscribers, because it's such a it's like an ice age. It's like ice sheets moving. It's very slow.
Well, go and make Pete's night, and go and sub to Pete, and go and sub to Derek, and we will see you on Derek's channel next week.
Yeah, my channel next week.
Have we had a thought what we might be talking about, or we're not there yet?
I've had a couple of ideas, but I'll keep it to myself for now.
All right, it's going to be an exciting secret. So we'll see you there next week, 9:30, Derek's channel. So go and sub if you're not already. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you.
And thanks for the questions in the chat. Hopefully we may have given something out that was useful. I don't know. We try.
Tried our best.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, everyone. Take care. See you soon.
See you.